Hey YouTube, it's SilverBack here, and today I'm asking you guys for your help. So I recorded a video yesterday or 2 days ago, I forget which, and I said I was going to my Dimir Flash Flyers deck is what I've dubbed it, but it's more of a Flash Mutate deck because that one was doing better at the time, and it was. But today, the games I played, I haven't played the decks that gave my original Dimir Flash deck trouble, and it seems like they're not as prevalent all of a sudden. And I love my old Flash deck. I like my new Flash deck, and I'm just not sure which one I should play until rotation. I want to focus on one and master it, as I always have. But I'm having a hard time choosing between the two, so I'm hoping my viewers can help me out. So I'm going to show two games with each deck. One will be a better game where you can see the deck succeeding a little bit, and one will be a game where we kind of struggle. And we'll talk about each, the benefits and upsides in my mind. I'll comment on the gameplay, but I'm also just going to describe my experiences with each deck, the purpose of each deck, why they're built slightly differently, and we'll take it from there. So both deck lists have been on the screen. One's been dubbed, we'll call it the Dimir Flash Mutate deck, and we'll call the other the Dimir Flash Mill deck or Thieves Guild deck. So let's get started. We'll do the Dimir Flash Mutate deck first. We'll go through two games, and I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll do the Mill Thieves Guild deck next. And then if you guys would, in the comments, let me know which one you like better, which one you prefer, or should I do something different? I want to stay in Dimir, but maybe you have an idea of something that's a little better, or maybe a mixture of the two, or maybe something that's completely different that I haven't thought of. So down in the comments, let me know which deck you like better, or if there's a secret third option, let me know what that is. Otherwise, let's get started with the Dimir Flash Mutate deck. Alright, so again, we're starting with the Flash Mutate deck. The key differences with this is we take out the Thieves Guild Enforcer from the other deck, take out the Drown in the Locks. Well, instead of focusing what we take out, we have the Pouncing Shore Sharks, the Dirge Bats, Lofty Denials as counters, and Essence Scatters as counters. I believe that's the major changes. We also have Threnody Singer instead of Blacklands Paragon in the other one. So more of a flyer focus, more of a mutate focus. And these mutators, they cause the mana curve to actually be a little bit higher. So in the other version, we play a lot more 2-drops and some 1-drops. In this version, we play more 3, 4, 5-drops. Again, I think this is better versus a aggro matchup, which is what I started to think we were going to see a lot of, was aggro. Against control, I don't know so much. I've had success with it. I do like it. I think it's fun. I really, that's why I'm asking for help, I guess, because I don't know which one I want to play. So here we were able to bounce a creature there that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to. I think dealing with that would have been a little bit harder for the other deck. Our best bet in this matchup, in best of one anyway, in sideboard, I'd have some better ways of answering it. But in best of one, I think, maybe we would Thieves Guild Enforcer and try to provoke a bad block. Where here we can just bounce what our opponent's holding up as a defender. And here you can see we'll blow them out a little bit with Threnody Singer, which is a sideboard card in the other deck. But again, I'm open to changing things around as needed. You can see here we're doing pretty good against what I thought was Izzet spells, but he plays a Triome there. We've ran out of cards faster than our opponent. There is quite a bit of card draw built into this deck with the Slitherwisp and the Sea Dasher Octopus. So running out of cards like this does happen, but it's not extremely typical. So again, you can see when our opponent's really trying to stick an aggro plan, this deck can disrupt it when it gets the mana to do so and the counter spells to do so. So this looked like some sort of mutate deck that we kind of overwhelmed here. So that's game one with the new Flyer mutate deck. And here's game two with the mutate Flash deck. I wanted to show it in another matchup against more of a controlling type deck, I'd say. Now again, we have a lot of things in our hand that would mess with aggro. Dirge Bat's great. When you're able to cast it for its 4 mana or even better 3 mana and then mutate onto it, it's not a great card to mutate onto other cards, although we will do it if we have the mana and it's available to us and it's smart to do so. So here opponent gets down a Charming Prince. Again, we have several options. We could bounce it, we could attack in and make him block and then play Threnody Singer. I think I actually just pass here because I would like to get Dirge Bat down on my opponent's turn and then Sea Dasher onto the Dirge Bat. That's what I would like to do. We'll see what happens here. Cunning Nightbonders in both versions. I like the ability to not have your flash spells countered. That comes in handy quite a bit, to be honest. So here we go for an all-in attack. Opponent blocks with the Charming Prince. So we just get down the Threnody Singer. Again, doing our combat tricks. And our opponent will do an Omen of the Sea, which is actually a card that's in our other deck. And again, here we're depleting our resources rather quickly. Whereas where our opponent's able to hold on to more of his. One thing we haven't drawn is a counter spell here, which he is in board wipe territory, and there it is, the Shatter the Sky. We do have enough cards to sort of rebuild immediately. We'll get down the Sea Dasher and start drawing again, and now we get the counter spell, which is my luck. So we got 5 mana. We got the ability to counter something, and we could actually play out the Brazen Bower if we need to. But opponent's actually just going to pass. Fairy Vandal's great. If we could get in, we could throw down Vandal. But opponent's going to try to find an answer. Again, this focuses more on the mutating. So we have 3 Dirge Bat, 3 Pouncing Shore Shark, 4 Sea Dasher Octopus. This is probably a scenario to draw a card. It might have been worth countering there. However, I'm really thinking I probably should use the counter there, but kind of wanted to keep it up for something more relevant, in all honesty. So the one thing, I mean, maybe, we saved the Sea Dasher there, but maybe we could have drawn a card that would have got us out. I guess we'll see on our next draw step. And so we blow a counter on a Charming Prince of all things. And then we drew an Acid Scatter, so that wouldn't have really helped. So again, this is more focused on aggro matchups, and this is very much not an aggro matchup, so you're going to see the struggle here of this deck. What have you guys been playing against? Because my first few days was all aggro, it seemed like. It was a very aggro heavy format, and now today it feels like it's not so aggro heavy, and it's a format where my other deck would succeed better. But I don't want to keep flip-flopping on the channel here. I want to pick one and try to tweak it and perfect it, and help people tweak and perfect their Flash decks. Speaking of which, has anybody been keeping track of the tournament scene? As Simic Flash has been doing pretty decent in SCG and stuff, Dimir Flash has not shown up. And I'm kind of surprised. You think it would be a good time to really branch out, but nobody seems to take the deck very seriously. And after this first week after the bans, I can kind of see why. But I'm not going to give up on it. I think there's a good deck there somewhere, and it's a fun deck. No matter what, I enjoy playing it. I'm just not sure which direction I want to take it in here, and a little bit of help is appreciated. So our opponent, we have nothing but answers to aggro in our hand. Of course, we could bounce one of his many enchantments, but he would just get to replay it for value, so that's not really what we want to do right now. And again, this is kind of the issue of playing a deck that's more focused on, again, the aggro matchups. Is we're pretty much drawing dead here. So Doom Foretold's actually a good thing to bounce. So we'll go ahead and bounce that back to hand. This deck's definitely not as fast as the other one. I've had draws with the other deck where I'll play, maybe Thieves Guild Enforcer and then another Thieves Guild Enforcer, followed by a Cunning Knight Bonder and a couple counters, and just blow my opponent out in 3 turns or 4 turns. This deck, that really isn't going to happen. The best start you could get is maybe a Fairy Vandal with the Sea Dasher mutated on top, and then there we get some good use out of the Essence Scatter. But that seems to be about the best start you could hope for, to be honest. So now we're building up our board. The counters came in handy there. We have a bounce if we need it. He's gonna try to destroy one creature. We're gonna just play our rewind there, get rid of that. And the opponent's running out of answers here. Thought about bouncing a token back, but really I was trying to do the math and seeing if I could win here. And we have 3, 6, 7 on board. If I mutate onto the Fairy Vandal, that's 10. So if I do that, though, I'm pretty much out of gas in my hand. Although Sea Dasher Octopus is a good draw, and I was trying to figure, okay, if I put that over Fairy Vandal, I could do 8 damage, and then maybe Shore Shark over Brazen Bower would only get us up to 9. There's no way I counted to get to 11 here. And actually, the more I thought about it, I thought it was better to just get in for the 7 and leave some stuff back in hand, because if he wipes the board, it's good odds that he'll get rid of his tokens and stuff as well, and then maybe we can Shore Shark or what have you. And actually, him tapping out for this is great for us, unless he has like an Eliminate in hand or something, which I don't think he would go to all this trouble if he didn't have something in hand. So we'll see. Again, this is the mutate version of the deck. You didn't really get to see it go off, but you kind of get to see the cards we're playing and some of the matchups. There, he did have a removal, but it doesn't matter. So let's move on to the other deck and kind of get a feel for what cards are in that and get your guys' opinion on that one. Okay, so this is the other deck, or the other version. This runs, again, a lot of the same cards, but a base of Thieves Guild Enforcer, Drown in the Lock, Cunning Night Bonner, and Slitherwisp, which are the same, but they're more prevalent in this version. We run Didn't Say Please as a counter spell instead of Essence Scatter. It helps turn on the Drown in the Locks and turn on the Thieves Guild Enforcers and what have you. The biggest issue I ran into with this deck was the Kroxa decks. Turning them on, getting them to a point where they were able to tear apart our hand by replaying Kroxa. But here in these kind of matchups, we fare pretty good. I think overall it does better than the other version in control type matchups because we can mill away a lot of their good cards. Aggro we do alright in. We have little less game against things like blue-white flyers. Threnody Singer is actually a great card to play in mono red matchups because it turns off their shocks and stomps and things like that, or at least gives you a creature that survives those sort of things. So you can see here we still do the Sea Dasher and Fairy Vandal trick as our opponent looks at his Griffinary to see if he can turn it on. We'll go ahead and try to get in again, which we do. And we do find our fourth land here, so we're doing pretty good on lands. Again, this deck, man, I really like this version of the deck. As our opponent gains 3 to make a token here. We do really good against this life gain deck in this game, as he'll make a Griffin and we're just going to flood the board and show him that no matter what he does, we're going to get through for a literal ton. So he'll scoop up pretty quick. This is an example of a quick win with the deck. And we'll move on to a different kind of matchup here. A different kind of deck, not so much reliant on creatures. Double Fabled Passage in your starting hand is not great. There's only 2 in the deck, I believe, so to have both of them here isn't that great. But technically we can have whatever mana we need. So we'll have the 2 black to cast Slitherwisp. Ideally, we'll draw another land before we have to play our second Fabled. I considered playing it here, but I wanted to have the opportunity to get out a creature, get something on the board. Agonizing Remorse is something I'm considering putting in our sideboard, and we'll see if he goes ahead and pops the Rewind out. The Slitherwisp is a little redundant, but maybe he doesn't want us doubling up our triggers, which he doesn't. This deck feels like it can realistically win a lot more with the Slitherwisp pings. If we're able to get one to resolve and stick, and then roll it into 2 and keep going with it, we have enough cheap stuff that we could keep pinging our opponent and potentially get that win. So here we get rid of the Fairy Vandal of all things. Probably should have got rid of the Rewind, but we're 1 blue away from using it. Fortunately, we draw another counter spell. This shows the mana situation of the deck. Now, we're primarily a blue deck. We play mostly blue spells, with the exception of Slitherwisp, who needs 2 black. Lochmere Serpent needs a black. Let's see, what else are we playing that's black? I guess technically Cunning Knight Bonder, he can work with anything, and we draw our other Didn't Say Please, as there's only 2 in the deck. So again, that's kind of rough. Our opponent seems to be wanting to hang on to his Fen Lurkers. I guess hoping that he can get his Urion out. And he puts a stop on our turn, which is really a brilliant play by him, because if he had not done that, we would have got our second blue source and countered that easily. So good heads-up play by the opponent there. Overall, again, this version can be a lot faster, a lot better. It does have some good long game. I think the Drown in the Locks are a double-edged sword. They can be great. They can be both removal and a counter spell. So if you don't have enough things in their graveyard to start, I'm surprised he doesn't try to block here. He must really want that year-end value. But you can see that generally with this deck we move a lot quicker. And it doesn't seem like them few mutate creatures would affect the curve that much, but it really does, because we're able to get in a lot more. Now granted, our opponent could have blocked a lot of that damage if he wanted to, or at least some of that damage, I should say. But here we'll hold back Black Lance and Night Bonder, just in case he does some sort of board wipe. But I don't know, this deck moves faster. I really like this version, but again, it can get just torn apart by Rakdos. I don't think I played but one game against Rakdos today, so it's not as big of a deal as I initially thought, I suppose. But I don't know, guys. Again, this core is Thieves Guild Enforcer, Drown in the Loch, Lochmere Serpent. Let's go to the wrap up and we'll talk about the other one a little more. Alright, so that sort of lets you know what the 2 decks look like. Again, the first one was more of a mutate deck. It had the mutate creatures at its core. It generally has more higher mana spells. It has Essence Scatter, Dirge Bat, Pouncing Shore Shark. It plays 11 different cards in the main board. A lot of 4-ofs and a couple 3-ofs, and I think only 2-ofs is Rewind, I believe. Again, a lot of the cards are the same, but you can see that there is a definite difference, I think, in the tempo of the games and just how they kind of go along. The strong side of the mutate version is against aggro. We do stretch the games out a little bit longer, but usually fast aggro decks want to end the games quickly, so that's to our benefit. The Thieves Guild Enforcer version obviously plays the Thieves Guild Enforcers, the Drowned in the Loch, the what else? Didn't Say Please to help turn on both of the previous cards. And in general, the outside of the Lochmere Serpents, nothing costs more than 3 mana, except for the Rewind 2, I guess. We got 2 Rewinds and 2 Lochmere Serpents, and that leaves 33 cards that are 3 mana or less, with the bulk of them sitting right at 2 mana. So let me know which one you guys like, or let me know if you sort of like one or the other, but if you would put in different cards, let me know what those would be. Just help let me know what you guys think is better. I'd greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment, and then if you feel so inclined, give me a like and a subscribe, or if you felt this video was a waste of time, give me a dislike. Let me know what you guys think of the content. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.